Have you ever asked yourself the question, how are my thoughts really truly impacting me? Have you ever used the language of, this job is killing me, my kids are driving me insane, my body is falling apart, or my wife is driving me crazy? I want us to look at and to think about how the language that we use internally and externally is 100% impacting our signals that are being sent to our body. This is what I'm speaking to you. If you find this relevant at all, then keep listening, because this conversation today is going to be directly for you. Welcome everyone to another episode of Sit Around the Fire. I am excited to be moving into season 2, another year of really brilliant conversations and stories, information, and things that I truly feel passionate about sharing with you. So welcome to season 2. And today we are really going to dive into a conversation that I think is incredibly important. Thinking about how our thoughts are not just simple ideas, but they are in fact very direct signals that we're sending to our entire body. So have you ever found yourself driving down the road and you say to yourself, this traffic is killing me, I'm never going to be able to get there on time, or trying to complete a task and say this is never going to work out, or looking at a situation that's happening in your life and saying, why do good things never come my way? Nothing ever works. I'm never going to be in a relationship. I'm never going to be good enough for a relationship. And what's happening here when we do this is our bodies are listening. Our bodies are very intently listening to us. And everything that we think or say, our body is picking up on. Now, Eckhart Tolle has a really great quote that I think fits brilliantly here. He says, awareness is the greatest agent for change. We need to understand that the subconscious mind is our feeling mind. It's our mind that stores all of our beliefs, our emotions, our memories, our perceptions. All of that is held within the subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind is online 24/7. So it's not just like your conscious mind where it's awake and listening when you're actively conscious. Your subconscious mind is taking in information all of the time. So we need to, and we must understand that the subconscious mind operates in a very different way than our conscious mind. And it doesn't understand time and place. It doesn't understand or make sense of the reality of situations. It doesn't understand sarcasm, exaggeration, things like that. It responds as if every single message is fact. Every single message is real and immediate. Let me explain a little bit more about what this looks like. Our subconscious mind is literally made for life and death wiring. This is a very primal instinct that we pick up on of where, what do I have to do to stay safe and stay alive? That's the number one responsibility of the subconscious mind, as well as the brain and the nervous system. So our nervous system and our mind are going to react 100% the same, whether it's an actual threat or if it's just a perceived threat. So if we're using a language in our head that I'm terrified, I'm not safe, I can't do this, that even if that threat is solely psychological, the body is going to perceive and treat it as physical. Here is the profound connection for us, is realizing that if we are using this type of language, if we are always telling ourselves, I can't do this, I'm scared, I'm not safe, it's not gonna, this is killing me, it's not going to work out, our systems are going to respond by living in this constant state of readiness. And what we're really looking at here, and particularly so for first responders or anybody in that spectrum is living in chronic hypervigilance. So not only does this language now become survival shorthand for us, but it comes at an incredible cost. Because now, if your body has believed everything that you thought today, reflect on what kind of world would you actually be living in? And thinking about this language pattern that's setting yourself up for, this brain that you're setting yourself up for, it is going to have an incredible, profound impact on you overall. This repeated dialogue that we pick up on within our minds, this is going to 100% dictate your beliefs, your habits, your personality, and even your physical response to things. This internal dialogue, these very innate messages that are getting sent to your body become your reality. And when we try to put this excuse out there, we try to use the reasoning of this is just how it is thinking, is that puts us in this chronic state of hopelessness, almost resignation to, well, this is just like how I'm going to feel. This is just how it's going to go. And it pushes us into this state of becoming incredibly emotionally numb. So now not only are we in this state of chronic hypervigilance, chronic stress, but now we're not feeling anything. Everything is all shut down. Long term, over time, this is going to result in chronic stress. And we know now that chronic stress is the direct path to chronic inflammation. Like 100% related. If you're stressed, your body is receiving those stress signals. What happens next is that chronic inflammation state. Meaning your joints are going to feel crappy. You're probably going to experience a lot of brain fog, not being able to focus, lack of concentration. Your stomach is going to feel upset a lot of the time. You're going to be sick. Your immune system is going to get shot. Like all of those things are going to cause that to be the end result. We're going to experience profound levels of burnout. You're not going to have capacity to do anything because you don't have anything left. So we'll fall into these very suffering type coping behaviors of withdrawing, being super irritable, using the self-sabotage method. And we need to really look at this and become aware, as Eckhart talks about, that just because a thought feels familiar or it's something that you've told yourself for a very long time does not mean that it's true. It does not mean that it's true. Even so much as looking at the commuting example, if we're using the language of this commute is killing me, think about in all reality, that's not actually true. Like your commute is not actually doing any form of killing to you. It's something that you're telling yourself, and your subconscious mind is believing that that is truth. So as we look at this, we think of awareness as not forcing change, because we know that when we try to force change, that anything we resist persists. But I want us to look at not forcing change, but interrupting the unconscious patterns. Becoming so consciously aware of the dialogue that you are using in your head of, I am not going to use that thought, or that thought is not going to take seed in my mind. I'm not going to put any focus on it, because we know that what we focus on becomes, and what we focus on becomes our beliefs. And so it's a very conscious deciphering and picking out of what am I going to choose to actually focus on and actually believe. And I'm not just talking about the sugar-coated chronic positivity or chronic, looking at things in that method. And I'm not talking about bypassing what you're actually experiencing either, because we know that that's just another form of suppression of things that we do with emotions. But what I'm looking for is taking a step back and saying, what is it that I'm actually telling myself right now? Is this thought protecting me, or is it hurting me? Using this dialogue or saying that my wife or my relationship, my husband, whatever it is driving me crazy. is to actually break that down and look at it as like, what am I actually telling myself here? I'm actually telling myself that this person is literally making me insane, making my brain not function, making my body be on tilt. And we wonder why the heck we have issues in our relationships. So if you're using this dialogue, you are picking up on these thoughts that you're telling yourself as they are hurting you. That is doing nothing positive for you by saying that. So I want us to normalize and be okay with there being some resistance to this, because we have to recognize that these patterns for us, these are long-term vested patterns, and these thought patterns are a mechanism of survival. They've served us a purpose at one place in time. They've done an important job for us, and we can have gratitude for that, gratitude for those protectors that have done this. However, it's so important that we choose to choose again. And we say, this method, this old pattern that once served me is no longer serving me now. Therefore, I must move out of this survival protective and allow myself to basically transform and evolve into what I actually want to be the truth. Now, these illusions that we hold on to, these beliefs about ourselves, things like, I have to stay this way, this is just who I am, it's too late for me, is I want to really pull the BS card on this, is it's never too late. You always have the power to choose again, and the shift can happen in an instant. This whole dialogue around, I have to stay this way, it's too late, this is just who I am, that's really just a ridiculous excuse. And it's an excuse to use for yourself to just say, well, this is just how it's going to be. It's that resignation. And I want to challenge you to say, step out of your resignation. Why don't you just be okay with things looking different, things being different for you, and realizing, no, this is not the way that things always have to be for me. It was really interesting. I saw a lot of this popping up all over the place, particularly on social media, and I did some exploration around it just out of sheer curiosity. But according to the Chinese calendar, the year 2025 was what they were referring to as the year of the snake. And I looked at this and thought about this and kind of what they were talking about with this year of 2025. Which we know this year of 2025 was a lot for everybody. So many people went through so many different things, different struggles, different situations, that 2025 felt like a lot. And what the Chinese calendar was speaking to and referring here as the year of the snake was this shedding of the skin, and how when a snake sheds its skin, it's incredibly uncomfortable. It's actually can be fairly painful. It's a struggle. It happens in a process. That this shedding of the skin is really for us this releasing of these old identities. It's this releasing of old relationships that are no longer serving us, old behaviors that are no longer serving us. It's this profound letting go of what no longer fits for us anymore. And I think according to the calendar, you technically have until January 16th, I believe, to officially, that's when it officially starts. And I kind of like that, honestly, that it's after the first of the year, because the first of the year comes with such hype to it and this big movement around New Year's and all the things. But you have a few more days, is what I'm saying, and you have some more time. But I really want you to reflect upon this year of 2025 and how it was a very big shedding in different ways. And really looking at and reconciling, what are these things that I need to let go of? What are these old things that are no longer serving me? This skin, essentially, that's no longer fitting me anymore, and now choosing to let that go. The really cool part with this calendar is that 2026, they refer to as the year of the horse. And the year of the horse includes this incredible forward movement. And when I picture this in my head, when I think about this, I see like a horse running on a beach, and it's this incredible sense of freedom, this incredible sense of vitality and momentum and expression and all of these things that come with that really profound metaphor. And as you move out of this old 2025 mentality, this letting go of things that aren't serving you, and into this freedom, this momentum, is thinking about, what do you want that to look like? What do you want to experience out of life, knowing that you can't run freely while you're carrying old armor? Those things that you're holding on to, it's like trying to run somewhere with a weight wrapped around you. You cannot do it. And I want you to really, really sit with and ponder upon this question of, what have I outgrown? What am I still carrying out of just habit? Or more importantly, what am I carrying out of fear? And now it's time to choose again. It's time to choose a different way and acknowledge that we don't control past trauma. We don't control other people. We don't control external circumstances. But if we are being proactive in what we control, we do control our awareness, and we can control how we choose to think. The next thought that we choose to entertain, or the next thought that we choose to focus on, we have a direct effect upon that. And if all of us, I know every single person out there, including myself, really wants to live in peace. And I want peace in all circumstances. And knowing that peace in all circumstances is not conditional. It's not based on what's happening or what has happened or what will happen. But peace is unconditional, meaning I get to choose that. I get to be the active participant, the master of my thoughts, choosing that thought over and over again. So as you're working on this and you're starting to kind of question and adapt to, like, is this really true, what I'm telling myself, this narrative, this dialogue that I've been living under for a long time, is I want you to start using some of these active questioning examples of thinking about, is this thought absolutely true? Is this absolutely true? Or is there another way to see this? And starting to really choose thoughts, not out of pushing things away or shoving things down or resisting or acting upon things, but just being the active chooser throughout the process. It's this deep level of almost exercising self-leadership for you. It's putting this all together in this package of, I am going to be an active participant, a co-creator of my own reality based on the thoughts that I am telling myself. And knowing that the thoughts we tell ourselves are going to communicate to our body. Therefore, our body is going to be communicating back to our mind as well. And you have the power to change that dialogue. You have the power to change the way that that conversation goes. And it's time to start getting aware and to being accountable and responsible for those thoughts. And I want you to get into this practice of letting things go. Really accepting that whatever has happened, but I'm choosing now to let this go. And the reason why is because, just like as we talked about with the example of the snake and outgrowing the skin, is you can't take this with you. You cannot crawl back into that old skin that doesn't even fit the snake anymore. That doesn't make any sense, but you have to choose to let it go. Anything that you are holding on to is not serving you in the here and now in any form or fashion. But letting go is going to create that space for you to live in freedom, to live in vitality, to live in movement and momentum and all those things as you move forward. And remembering that it can happen whenever you want it to. This doesn't have to be this big drawn out process. The change could happen now. just even listening to this very podcast can start to shift it for you right now. Mal, I want us to think about this isn't going to be like I'm becoming someone brand new. Like that has the undertones of believing that there's something wrong with me and I need to be doing something to fix that. But what we're doing is we're actually just remembering who we are before the survival took over, before that toxic thought pattern took over, before that dialogue started to run away in my head telling me that I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'm not lovable, I'm not accepted, I'm not valued, I'm not worthy, I'm stupid, I'm bad. Whatever it is going on in the dialogue, the belief system for you, you are remembering the truth about who you really are. And when we remember the truth, I promise you, that is going to change everything. It's going to flip your world entirely upside down. You're going to be opened up to this whole different way of living life and this expansion of the life experience and all these amazing things. I want you to reflect upon these questions as we start to bring the episode to a close and thinking about, what have I thought about? What thought have I been repeating over and over that may not be true anymore? And even if, because like I said, you are a powerful co-creator of your own reality. So if you're putting these thoughts out of, I'm scared, I'm afraid, I'm not safe, I'm not enough, is your external life is going to continue to reflect that. But it's time to take accountability here and really dive into this question. What thought have I been repeating that may not be true for me anymore? And the second part of this is I want you to really pay attention to how your body responds to this. How does your body respond when you tell yourself, I'm sick? Or this situation makes me so sick. This makes me feel so gross. This makes me feel so insignificant. Is I want you to pay attention how your body responds to this. Because I promise you that how you think, and if you're putting these thoughts out there, your body is going to do whatever it needs to do to help support that. So if you are going to work and you have this mentality that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do the job. I feel anxious, I feel insecure, I feel insignificant, I'm worried about my skills and capabilities. Those thoughts that are being accepted and going around in your head, what's going to happen? Your body is going to respond to that, and several things could potentially end up happening. Whether you get a terrible headache or a migraine, maybe you start sweating profusely, therefore you're too embarrassed to go into the situation or to go to work. Or maybe you get a wicked stomach ache and suddenly you find yourself on the toilet and you can't go into work. Is your subconscious mind is perceiving all of that dialogue, all of those thoughts as real. Therefore, it's doing every single thing it possibly can to not make you go into that situation. And so it is not a matter of just changing your thought. It's literally changing the physiology in your own body. And I want you to, as you become very aware and curious and you listen to what your body is responding to, is that to then sit with and start to ask the question of, what would this feel like to just release it a little bit? Even just a little. Maybe I start to change my thoughts just a little bit. But I want you to see how profound the impact of this really is. And when you start telling yourself, I am capable, I am accepted, I am loved, I am more than enough in any and all ways, and start to repeat that dialogue in your head and notice how things completely shift for you. Because as I said before, you always have the power to choose again. I really hope that you enjoyed this message. I know you're walking away with a lot, and I really bringing this message to you from my heart and something that I have been really resonating with and sitting with as we move from 2025 into 2026, and this shedding and getting rid of the old things that are no longer serving me and moving into true liberation and true freedom. So I know you're going to walk away with a lot to think about and a lot to ponder on. And the biggest takeaway that I want you to hear is that your thoughts create your reality. Your thoughts dictate how your body feels and responds. And how you often feel about your problem is usually the problem itself. So it's time to choose differently. It's time to choose what you think, choose what you feel, choose how you live your life. All right, my friends, thanks again for joining me. Look forward to a lot more fun conversations headed your way in this next new season. And as always, please like, subscribe, check us out on YouTube if you want to see us in video. We are here for you. You are not alone. And go out there and experience all the amazing things that life has to bring you. All right, everyone. Until next time.